Welcome guys, Dr. Ben here. We're going to talk today about thyroid disorders and thyroid dysfunction. Why is it happening so prevalently in so many people, men, women, everybody, and what you can do about it today. So welcome. Hope you've been having a great weekend, great day. For those of you that are new to our page, make sure that you hit that like or follow button. You can also be reminded. I had a couple people ask this weekend, when do you go live? I want to make sure I catch them. You can also be reminded at any point. We pop those reminders up there and it'll give you a little ding and say the Functional Medicine Centers is live. So go and hit that button as well. And then lastly, go ahead and drop down below where you guys are watching from. Love to see it, people all over the country, all over the world, especially when we're talking about with thyroid. So many people are dealing with thyroid issues. It's really rampant and it's so sad. And the reason I love talking about this is it's such an underserved market, such an underserved area where all people are looking at basically is, oh, take this medication and you'll be fine. But guess what? Very seldomly does taking the medication fix anything, because there's very rarely is it just a low thyroid and you need more thyroid hormone. So what we're going to jump in today is showing you exactly what's going on with your thyroid, where these imbalances might be coming from, and what you can do about them today. So welcome everybody. Again, pop down below where you guys are watching from. I can give you a shout out, as well as ask any questions that you have. If you've got your TSH and you want to ask what that number tells you, anything like that, pop that down below and we can review that information. So welcome. When we start thinking about functional medicine and about this whole process, it's all about getting to the underlying why. And that's what I want to be showing you today is how can you get to the why that your thyroid is off, as opposed to just covered up. Even something natural, we don't want to just cover up it with natural things. So here we go. Some of the stats. 12% of the population is what the research shows have thyroid dysfunction. Pretty darn high. That's a pretty big number, 12% of the population. There's over 20 million people on thyroid medication in this country. 60% of the people that have thyroid issues don't even realize it. We check for Hashimoto'S markers, we check T3, T4, all these different markers on patients every single day, and a lot of them have no idea that they have a thyroid disorder. But on the other side, a lot of people think that they have a thyroid disorder, but they actually don't. So it's not this simple thing where, oh, I've got low thyroid, take that Synthroid, take that levothyroxine, and it's going to be fixed. So that's what we're looking at here. So many people don't even realize they have a thyroid disorder. Here's the interesting part. In women, 80% of women that have low thyroid actually also have autoimmune to the thyroid. So they have what is called Hashimoto'S. Hey Toby, good to see you out there. They actually have Hashimoto'S. 80% of the people of women that have low thyroid have Hashimoto'S. But there's multiple areas that we look at that can be contributing to these thyroid disorders. So some of them are going to be what we're going to get into, Hashimoto'S. So this autoimmune thyroid that's going on, so that can play a big role in what we're looking at. The body can be attacking its own tissue. We can have underconversion, so we have to convert one thyroid hormone to another one, and that gets us into the active usable form of thyroid. But that conversion takes place in the liver and the gut, some of these places. We may not be converting to T3 like we need to. We may have an underconversion. We have this buildup. We have some things going on there. Could be a pituitary issue. The pituitary gland tells the thyroid what to do. It's basically the jockey whipping the horse. That's TSH. So maybe the pituitary is worn out. Why would that be? Well, pituitary also tells the adrenals what to do, as well as our male and female hormonal system. So what does that do? Well, if you're under chronic stress, if your hormones are jacked, all of those things are going to affect your ability to communicate effectively to the thyroid. So many different reasons why. An interesting one that you guys may have not thought of and heard of. So pituitary, hey George, great question. So the pituitary tells, basically it's going to kick out TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. It's going to kick out ACTH, which tells the adrenals what to do, and it's going to tell the female hormonal system, LH and FSH, and it's going to control the male hormonal system too. So it's really the master gland of the body that's telling these other tissues what to do. So yes, Val, great to have you on. So here's an interesting one. Hey Michelle, up in Estes Park there. Here's another one that we're looking at. So iodine blockage. The thyroid glands needs iodine. So maybe you've heard of taking iodine for your thyroid. Hey Suzette, good to see you. Maybe you've taken iodine in dropper form, or you've heard of iodized salt, things like that. Iodine is what the body uses to make thyroid hormone. So T3, T4, that tells us the number of iodine molecules on there. A lot of good things that iodine is doing in there. We have receptors in the thyroid to iodine. But get this, remember, take you way back to your chemistry class. You've got your columns in your periodic table. Hey Kelly, good to see you. You've got columns in the periodic table, and they're going to be very similar in those different ones. So in one with iodine, you also have bromine, chlorine, fluoride, some of those different ones that look very, very similar to iodine, and they're going to ultimately block the receptors on the thyroid. And so this is a really interesting part. Hey Joan, good to see you. They're in Arizona. So you've got the thyroid that has these receptors to iodine, but if somebody is drinking water with chlorine and with fluoride in it, if they're showering in it, if they're getting in the hot tub, getting in the pool, getting exposed to these all the time, it actually can block the thyroid. So using filtered water, getting a house filter, getting a shower filter, we ended up getting a whole house filter because we were tired of having the little filters on every shower for everybody. And then even in the bathtub, it's almost impossible to have a good filter on a bathtub. So we got a whole house filter that takes out that chlorine. So we use reverse osmosis for our fluoride reduction, and that's what we use for our drinking water. So those are the things that we do at home, and that's definitely going to make a big difference on your thyroid. If you have any type of thyroid disorder, make sure your water is as clean as possible, getting rid of the chlorine and the fluoride in that water. So another one of the main reasons why we see thyroid dysfunction, thyroid disorders, is what's called Hashimoto's. Many of you have heard of Hashimoto's, but there's actually 2 types of Hashimoto's. And give me a thumbs up if you guys have heard this. I'm going to guess we're not seeing a lot of different thumbs up unless you guys have been listening to me. But there's 2 types of Hashimoto's. One attacks the thyroid. 2 attacks the bus that transports it around the body. So we've got 2 types of Hashimoto's. There's a couple thumbs coming up, but not a whole lot, because there's not many people have heard of this. They just think it's attacking the thyroid. But you can test your TPO, write this down, TPO and TG, your thyroglobulin. Next time you go to your doctor, you want to ask for these antibodies. We run it on everybody, and we find it all the time in people that didn't even realize they had this issue. So you need to check for your TPO and your thyroglobulin, your TG antibody. TPO is attacking the thyroid. TG is what transports it. It's that bus. It transports the T3 and T4 around the body. You can have one or the other or both. I've seen it every different way in there. And so somebody may not even be attacking the thyroid. They may have plenty of thyroid hormone, but they're not getting it to the tissue like they need to because that bus is not transporting it. So then we get into, why does somebody have autoimmune in the first place? And remember, Hashimoto's is rampant in people that are dealing with thyroid disorders, low thyroid. And so what we've got to do is we've got to figure out why that body is going haywire. So just like somebody has MS, just like somebody had rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, any of these different autoimmunes, Hashimoto's is the same thing. You've got to fix the blood sugar, the adrenals, the estrogen, get your vitamin D, your leaky gut, take out food allergies, especially gluten, all these different things. Check out, I've got a whole bunch more videos. Check out our YouTube channel as well. You can search a whole lot easier in there, and we've got tons of information on autoimmune and Hashimoto's in there, hour-long seminars, all types of things you can watch. So you've got to figure out why that body is going haywire, and that's the importance of knowing if it truly is. Hey George, good to see you. adrenal repair precedes thyroid repair. If somebody is on chronic fight or flight, if their brain is on chronic fight or flight, if their blood sugar is jacked. And so I would say this, George, blood sugar stabilization precedes adrenal repair, precedes thyroid repair. We have to focus on the blood sugar first because that's the number one stressor to the adrenal glands. It's not jobs and cars and kids and COVID and presidents and whatever you want to stress about. It's actually those blood sugar swings in there. So we got to stabilize that first. And then we got to start rebuilding. And then we go. But ultimately, if it's Hashimoto's, you've got to work on everything to calm that down. So the underconversion of T4 to T3, liver and gut, you've got to be working on the liver. Most people, their liver is off because of fatty liver. Number two reason is because of chronic viral infection. You've got to figure out why your liver's not working like it's supposed to, cleanse that, heal it up, get it moving in the right direction. The gut, you've got to work on the killing off, the building back up of that lining, the building back up of the good bacteria. You've got to replace any enzymes, stomach acid, all these different things, work through that process. It's a process, but it's definitely worthwhile. If somebody has autoimmune, 90% of them are going to have leaky gut. Hey Stephanie, good to see you. Radioactive iodine treatment because the antithyroid meds decreased my white blood cells, hospitalized me. Yeah, that's a lot that you've been hit with. So again, same thing. You've got to take a step back, Steph. You've got to take a step back and really figure out which part of the body is out of balance, because that didn't come out of the blue. That wasn't just some random thing that God struck you with this thyroid disorder. Your body was out of balance, and you've got to fix that now. Otherwise, other things are just going to come up. Pull out that check engine light, but it's still overheating. There's still going to be issues going on. So Hashimoto's, again, got to come up with that underlying why, rebuild those. Tabitha, adrenals can be the cause of insulin resistance, causing the sugars to be out of whack. So potentially, but we have to figure out why the adrenals are out of balance. And so insulin resistance is really going to be caused from that blood sugar swinging up and down, up and down, up and down, over and over and over. If somebody is keeping their food very, very consistent, and it can be done even when the adrenals are not in great balance yet. We see it even in a week or two, even when people still have bad adrenals, they can stabilize their blood sugar. We see it all the time. So don't let people cop out and say, oh, I can't fix my blood sugar until my adrenals are fixed. No, that is not true. We get people's blood sugar to stabilize in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks all the time, and that's way sooner than their adrenals have a chance to repair. So you can get better, and your blood sugar can get better even when there's other systems out of balance. We need to look at the pituitary. We were talking about the pituitary, telling the thyroid what to do. Sometimes that pituitary is deficient. So why would there be pituitary dysfunction? Well, it's been on this chronic stress pattern. CT shows my thyroid so atrophied they couldn't see it. What could cause this? I would check for, that's Joyce, I would check for your Hashimoto's. I would check that TPO antibodies and see if it's been attacking that tissue. That's the most likely cause. Let me know if you've already had those antibody markers. So you've got to calm that stress down. Number one stressor to the adrenals, because remember, the pituitary also tells the adrenals what to do. And if somebody's been whipping that horse for so long, the jockey gets tired, and then it won't tell the thyroid what to do. So it's this whole axis, this whole connection, pituitary, thyroid, adrenals. You've got to get those figured out. Number one step that we're looking at is going to be the working on stabilizing that blood sugar. Number two step, when we do a brain map, we look for what's called the alpha wave. The alpha wave is what's going to keep you in a non-stop fight or flight pattern, just this chronic stress, chronic fight or flight pattern. So we need to look at all of these things. It's not just a matter of doing yoga, relaxing, doing deep breathing. All those things help, and yet you've got to fix the underlying whys as well. So all of these things come into play when you start thinking about thyroid disorders. And it's a multifaceted approach that needs to be taken, and you've got to go step by step through fixing whatever else is going on. I wish it was as simple as giving somebody iodine, giving somebody some type of thyroid conversion, or the magic lower your autoimmune markers, but that's not how it gets fixed. You've got to come in from that place of fixing the underlying why, putting the time and energy in, doing the blood work, looking at the brain, doing all the things that you need to get your body to calm down. Thyroid issues are everywhere, and yet thyroid issues can be resolved. People can feel better, they can lose weight, they can have energy and not be cold all the time. So take action, look through some of these things, make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Great to see everybody, and if you've got any questions, pop those down below, or would like to touch base on your thyroid, drop us a line and we'll help you get through this process. Take care, guys.